No one noticed him, the old fisherman silently mending his nets by the town's shore, until that terrible storm arrived. In that moment, an incredible past, hidden amidst the whispers of the sea, surfaced with a struggle for survival. But what if this past isn't just a fisherman's tale, but the legend of a hero who knows the sea's deepest secrets and brings back the lost? The sea hides some secrets deep within. Who is this quiet fisherman? What does the silent watcher mean? What terrible storm is being talked about? How will the fisherman's past connect with the storm? Elias, in his early 70s, was a quiet man living by the shore of Haven Cove, next to his old boat named the Silent Watcher. Every morning, he would set out to sea before dawn and return to the harbor near sunset. He would sell the fish he caught at his small stand on the pier, then retreat to his cabin. The townspeople knew him, yes, but only as Old Man Elias or that old fisherman. No one knew much about him, and he didn't want to talk about it either. His life was as regular and silent as the ocean's tide. The deep lines on his face seemed to carry all the storms, loneliness, and ferocity of the sea. His eyes constantly gazed far out to the horizon, as if searching for something there that others couldn't see. Among the town residents was a young woman named Lily. In her late 20s, she was a reporter for the town's local newspaper. She loved writing about the stories of Haven Cove. She had always been curious about Elias's silence and his strange connection to the sea. Whenever she saw him, she would smile and ask, "Any storms coming, Old Man Elias?" Elias would always nod in greeting, say, "Whatever the sea wills," and quietly continue his work. Lily believed there was a story beneath Elias's silence, but she didn't want to push him. A past unknown to anyone lay over Elias like the salt of the sea. Why is Elias so lonely and silent? What is he hiding from his past? What is the meaning of the name, the Silent Watcher? That night, a massive storm was hitting Haven Cove, where the warnings had been issued one after another, but no one expected it to be this severe. Rain was pouring down, and the wind howled, rattling not just window frames, but the entire town. The sound of the sea had turned into the roar of a wild beast. Boats in the harbor swayed violently, and waves crashed over the pier walls, spilling into the streets. The townspeople were holed up in their homes, waiting for the storm to subside. Elias was listening to the storm warning on the radio in his cabin. Category 3 hurricane. Residents advised to seek shelter. Suddenly, amidst the static, a distress signal came through on the radio. A ship was stranded in the open sea. In the middle of the storm, the signal was weak, the voice desperate. Lily, in the town newspaper office, felt the storm's intensity as she tried to write the latest news. She also heard the distress signal. Her heart began to pound rapidly. Deputy Mayor Johnson was frantically trying to communicate via radio at the harbor, but the storm was too fierce. It would take hours for the Coast Guard to arrive. An expression Elias hadn't shown in years suddenly appeared on his face. The weariness evaporated, replaced by a sharp, cold determination. His eyes suddenly gleamed like those of a sleeping hunter. His body seemed to switch to autopilot. His steps changed, his posture stiffened. Muscle memory, unused for years, kicked in. This was no ordinary distress signal. It was a call to duty. The sea was calling him. In that moment, the safe silence of the town filled with the tension of a battlefield. What will Elias do? Will this ordinary fisherman venture out into this storm? What past will be revealed? How dangerous is the stranded ship? The townspeople, looking out their windows at the harbor, froze at the sight. Elias was pulling the silent watcher out of the harbor, heading straight into the heart of the storm. Deputy Mayor Johnson was shouting over the radio, "Elias, are you crazy? Come back. This is suicide." But Elias didn't hear, or didn't want to. His boat, the silent watcher, navigated the giant waves with incredible skill. While other boats were being battered, the silent watcher was dancing with the storm. Elias's movements were unlike those of a fisherman. Every turn of the rudder, every sail adjustment was done not with years of experience, but with military precision. He anticipated when the waves would hit, how the wind would blow, using his boat like a warship. His body was tense, but his composure was incredible. A muscle memory, unused for years, was guiding him. At that moment, Lily left the office, camera in hand, and ran to the harbor. She gasped at the sight. Elias, that calm, old fisherman, was like a seasoned sea dog battling the storm. As he approached the distressed vessel, the scene was horrifying. The ship, a small cargo vessel named the Voyager, was on the verge of breaking apart in the storm's grip. Its panicked crew desperately waited on deck to be rescued. Elias maneuvered his boat with incredible skill amidst the giant waves, bringing it alongside the ship. His movements were like a commander orchestrating an operation. He shouted instructions, taking the crew onto his boat. The waves constantly tried to push his boat away from the ship, but Elias wouldn't give up. As he took people onto his boat, he was also calculating the ship's sinking rate, trying to find the safest route. When one of the crew, in a panic, fell into the water, Elias didn't hesitate for a second. He threw himself into the sea and quickly reached the man amidst the giant waves. His swimming skills were far beyond that of a fisherman. Like a trained rescue swimmer, he grabbed the man and pulled him back onto his boat. Lily was recording all these moments from afar with her camera. What she saw was changing her entire worldview. Elias, that calm, unassuming fisherman, was a true hero. His movements were like something out of a movie. Every step, every rescue maneuver, bore the traces of long years of military naval training. Where did Elias learn these skills? Was he really a special naval unit soldier? How will the townspeople and Deputy Mayor Johnson react to this situation? As dawn broke, the storm had subsided, and the sea had begun to calm. Elias's boat, the Silent Watcher, was approaching the harbor with the rescued crew. At the harbor, Deputy Mayor Johnson, Lily, and other townspeople greeted him with astonishment and admiration. The deputy mayor ran towards Elias. "Elias, I can't believe it. How did you do this? Even the Coast Guard couldn't make it." Elias, with a tired but determined expression, said, "The sea called me." Lily was rapidly taking photos of Elias. This event would be the biggest news in town. In Lily's mind, the idea that a great secret was hidden behind Elias's silence solidified. Her eyes shone like they had when she saw John in the hospital. What lies behind Elias's words? The sea called me. What exactly was this old training? Will Lily pursue this secret? The next morning, the only topic of conversation in Haven Cove was Elias. That old fisherman, he's a real hero. He was like a soldier in the sea. The town's local newspaper, Haven Cove Echo, had headlined the news, "Hero of the Storm, the silent fisherman saved lives from the sea's clutches." But no one knew exactly who Elias was. The police report only mentioned his name, Elias Vance, an extraordinary seamanship skills. This phrase had caught Lily's attention, That morning, before heading to her office, Lily began a deep dive into research using Elias's name and the phrase "extraordinary seamanship skills" on her tablet. The confidential military naval documents and forums she had access to through her old naval history professor, Dr. Anya Sharma, would now be used for Elias. Pages of old naval records, special operations documents, classified mission reports. She wouldn't give up until she found the clues she was looking for. After hours of research, Lily finally found what she was looking for. In very old, restricted access records from the early 1970s, relating to the establishment period of the Naval Special Warfare Development Group, DEVGRU, more commonly known as SEAL Team 6, she found the name Elias Vance. The records indicated Elias was an underwater demolition team, UDT specialist, and a rescue diver. The unit was so clandestine that most of its members were non-existent in official records, and their operations were only referenced by encrypted codes even in the most classified government documents. The most striking information was a participation in an operation called Operation Deep Horizon, a mission to retrieve classified documents from a leaking submarine and extract surviving crew members. This operation was considered a legendary success within DEVGRU, but it was never known to the public. Elias, alone in that operation, had rescued 3 drowning sailors and retrieved critical documents. What exactly was Operation Deep Horizon? Why did Elias serve in such a dangerous unit? Why did he choose to remain silent for so long? Lily was astonished by what she learned. The quiet, lonely fisherman of the town was, in fact, a true hero who had served in his country's most dangerous and classified naval operations. The weariness and silence that Elias carried were actually the insignia of a warrior bearing the burden of the sea and war. Lily, with this evidence in hand, went to Elias's cabin. When she knocked on his door, Elias opened it in surprise. Seeing Lily with the documents in her hand, a look of apprehension appeared on his face. "Lily, is there a problem?" Lily extended the documents and an old photograph showing a young, determined sailor. You are Elias Vance, aren't you? From DEVGRU, Operation Deep Horizon. Elias's eyes widened. His hands began to tremble. It was as if the wall of silence he had meticulously built over the years had suddenly crumbled. First, a look of denial, then deep pain appeared on his face. How do you know these things?" he whispered, his voice barely audible. These were classified. Like the strong feeling she had when she saw John in the hospital, Lily also saw a past in Elias's deep eyes. Lily told him about the information she received from Professor Sharma, the existence of DEVGRU, the mystery of Operation Deep Horizon, and the restricted access records where Elias's name was found. The man before her was not a tired fisherman, but one who knew the sea's deepest secrets, a living witness to one of history's most classified operations. The compassion and admiration in Lily's voice melted Elias's icy heart. This young woman, who asked questions no one had dared to ask for years, truths no one had dared to seek, had persuaded him to share this secret. Elias took a deep breath. The burden of years accumulated within him seemed to lift from his shoulders. "Yes," he said finally. His voice was clearer now, but still fragile. "My name is Elias Vance, and yes, I was part of that unit, of DEVGRU, of Operation Deep Horizon." His eyes drifted far, far away, towards the depths of the sea, to those dark and dangerous moments. It was as if time had stopped for him, and Memories began to play like a film reel before his eyes. Will Elias tell Lily this story? If he does, how deep will he go? How shocking will the details of this classified submarine operation be? Why did he choose to remain silent for so long? Elias Vance's story deeply affected Lily. This story was too big to be hidden within the walls of that fisherman's cabin, or the town's harbor. With Elias's consent, Lily decided to share the story with the town newspaper editor, Mr. Thompson, then local authorities, and finally, the media. Town editor Mr. Thompson and Deputy Mayor Johnson were initially skeptical. Of Lily, just an ordinary fisherman, DEVGRU. Lily, are you dreaming too much? Lily presented the documents she had received from Professor Sharma, the confidential references regarding Elias's past operations and her own research. She also showed them an old photograph of a young, determined sailor. Deputy Mayor Johnson's expression changed as he examined the documents. His eyes widened in astonishment. Is this really true? This man, he was in that operation. The town management realized how significant this information would be, not just for Haven Cove, but for the entire nation. A legend had been living among them for years, but no one had noticed him. The town management and local authorities decided to share Elias's story with the public. At first, the local media was hesitant again. However, with Lily's and Professor Sharma's persistence and the concrete evidence they provided, a local television channel agreed to cover the story. The news had a far greater impact than anticipated. Headlines screamed, "Haven Cove's silent hero, Fisherman Elias Vance's shocking story." The news spread rapidly on social media. Thousands of people shared Elias Vance's story, and comments poured in. People expressed astonishment, admiration, and deep respect. Especially young people showed great interest in this invisible hero's story. Elias's silent sacrifice and his decades of humble life reminded people that true heroism lies not in fanfare, but in quiet, unheralded sacrifices. Just like in the competitor videos, the community's initial disregard turned into a great awakening. The town management and residents decided to organize a small but meaningful tribute ceremony for Elias. Elias was hesitant again at first. "These things are not for me. I just did my job," he said. But Lily and Professor Sharma explained that this story was not just his, but the story of all forgotten heroes, and that it needed to inspire the younger generation. This heroism, Elias, it's not just yours, it's a symbol of a nation's honor. On the day of the ceremony, Haven Cove Harbor was packed. Town residents, city officials, local residents, and even the surviving family members of some of the people Elias rescued in Operation Deep Horizon were there. Everyone was talking about Elias Vance's heroic story. When Elias stepped onto the podium, his voice was still soft. Instead of his worn clothes, he was in a neat shirt and trousers, at Lily's insistence. "I was just a sailor," he said, "and I did my duty. The real heroes were the ones who didn't come back." His speech was short, but every word resonated deeply in people's hearts. The most poignant moment came when Deputy Mayor Johnson presented Elias with a special Naval Valor Award on behalf of the town. The Deputy Mayor, in his speech, emphasized Elias's anonymous heroism. Then another surprise occurred. The grandson of one of the sailors, Elias, rescued in Operation Deep Horizon, whose grandfather had passed away, came onto the stage. In his hand, he held a worn photograph of his grandfather with Elias, which he had kept for years. He hugged Elias and, with teary eyes, thanked him. The burden of years of pain and loneliness seemed to lift from Elias's face. This honor gained in the sea's storm was no longer a secret, but the seal of a heroism that had touched thousands of lives. The respect shown to him by the community and the young people became the greatest reward for his silent years. What were Elias's skills at sea? DEVGRU and SEAL Team 6 training. Why did he remain silent for so long? Due to the secrecy of his mission and unit. How did his story come to light? Through a storm, a stranded ship, and the curiosity of a young reporter Lily. After the ceremony, Elias Vance returned to his quiet life, but now everything was different. The town residents and the maritime community recognized him as a hero. Neighbors saluted Elias respectfully and thanked him. Lily and Professor Sharma visited him regularly, and they would chat. Lily had started writing articles about Elias's story, even embarking on a book project. Elias's story had turned into one of Haven Cove's greatest legends. Elias was no longer hesitant to tell his story. He especially shared with young fishermen and maritime students the brutality of the sea, the true meaning of heroism, and the importance of patriotism. His voice had broken years of silence, leaving a valuable legacy for younger generations. This honor gained in the sea's storm was no longer just a personal memory, but a symbol of the heroes a nation had forgotten. Lily had also changed. Lily's story had taught her the depth of the human spirit and history beyond journalism. In addition to her role at the town newspaper, she now participated as a guest speaker at universities and community centers, sharing the story of Elias and other silent heroes like him. She knew that everywhere there were people silently carrying their own heroism, and these stories are just waiting to be heard by the right person. Some stories don't shout, they just whisper, and they are worth listening to. Who might be the silent heroes in your community? What stories are waiting to be heard? What other mysteries do Elias's storm skills whisper to us?